Good morning. I think you'll find that my presentation is much like Holly's. As you've already been told, my name is Wesley Hough-Cornwell, and London was my home for an all too brief 10 weeks in the spring of 2010. Now, I need to explain a bit more about my time in London, before London, and my decision to go there. My brother studied abroad in Morocco for 5 months, and this time made me realize how much I too wanted to study abroad. When I applied to colleges, my #1 rule was that I had to study abroad. Lawrence allowed me to do just that, but not in the way that I or my parents expected. For some reason, London was calling to me. In all my years of traveling with my family, France, Italy, Morocco, the Netherlands, Germany, and Greece, I had never been to London. I had recently decided on an English major, and this also aided me in my decision, but my parents were not happy. They told me I needed to go somewhere where I didn't speak the language. They thought I would for sure go back to Italy, a place I loved and thought I would return to immediately. But I said no. I really wanted to go to London. Of course, there were more arguments. Was I making the right decision? Are my friends influencing me too much? Even my friends from back home questioned me. London, they asked? I always pictured you going somewhere more exotic. Isn't London just like all the other cities in America? No, it wasn't. Let me show you what London was to me. To tourists, this is London. And I will say, when I first got to London, this was not London too. I spent days touring the best sites and exploring the tourist sides of the city. Then London became this. I became more acquainted with my neighborhood, the posh area of South Kensington, the other students I was with, and one of my favorite places in London, Hyde Park, which just so happened to be right down the street from me. But I was determined to make sure my time in London wasn't just these slides. It needed to be more than a tourist attraction, more than my classmates, more than spending time with friends from Lawrence, and more than the Lawrence bubble, as we like to call it, transported across the pond. So I made it just that, exciting, new, my own personal adventure. Now this was easier said than done. Given the choice between going out and exploring or getting in a cozy bed with a great book, I usually opt for the great book. I had to really push myself and my own comfort boundaries. To me, the most important part of London was its diversity. At one moment, you are in a heavily French and American niche of Kensington, where everyone wears wellies and pushes the most expensive prams around. And after walking 5 minutes, you're in Bayswater, a heavily dominated Middle Eastern section in London, where every sign is in Arabic and the streets are lined with tea and outdoor hookah cafes. Take the tube or the bus a few stops to the west, and you will find yourself where the hipsters mingle with some of the poorest folks in London. Here I found the greatest flower market I have ever seen and met an inspiring fashion artist who allowed me to be part of his fashion gallery opening. This I did on my own. I would wake up early in the mornings of the days I had off or the days I had classes in the afternoon, and I would head out. I would play my favorite game, get off on a random tube stop and explore the area. Or I would type interesting things to do on a Monday in London or most hidden London markets into my UK version of Google, jot down some names, directions, and notes, and I would head out. I found dozens of hidden markets, small undiscovered bookstores and museums, some of the best shopping boutiques I have ever seen. I tasted some of the most amazing Indian food at a hidden restaurant by the river at the Queen's Theatre. I tasted some of the greatest Thai food a few blocks off of Soho, and I explored Chinatown on my own. I spent a day going to all the hidden bakeries and cupcake stores within London, and this was one of my favorite days for obvious reasons. I even did the bigger things on my own. I went to the British Library. I spent hours with some of the most amazing manuscripts and artifacts of some of my favorite authors. And as I said earlier, I am an English major, so I went back many, many times. I explored new exhibits in the Victorian Albert and went back and looked through the paintings and sculptures I had already seen before to give myself a fresh perspective and an attempt to become a professional with some of my favorite pieces. I even got to participate in some fringe theater productions, and yes, that is me dancing on stage with some funny additions on our heads. I made myself explore something new every day. I joined a yoga club at a nearby London University. I went to music clubs that featured bands from all over the world. And I went to a pub to watch every single football match. Without this cultural immersion, I would not have felt so connected to London. And it's because of this that London feels like home. Now, London provides its study abroad and international students with local hangout. And let's be clear, there are a lot of students studying in London from all over the world. This student bar was packed to the rim every Thursday night with people across all cultures hoping to sing some of their favorite songs in karaoke. It was here that I met Amelie, a young American woman from Paris studying business in London. We became instant friends and continue to talk to this day. With her, I met students from all over the world. My time with them was interesting, funny, exciting, and at times a little bit awkward, but still something I will never forget. My London went from exploring the coolest parts of the city on my own to exploring the city with a girl who barely spoke English. It was exciting and different and added to that perfect, one-of-a-kind study abroad experience I was hoping for. I held on to my memories of Amelie as a token of my spring in London. This spring, I decided to make a home out of such a diverse city. This spring, I decided to explore my independence and push my own personal boundaries, despite traveling to a city where English was the dominant language and my best friends were close by. This spring, I found out just how important a thrilling a multicultural and multinational city is. Did you know that there are 500 languages spoken in London? And some days I honestly felt like I heard all 500. It was also the spring I truly fell in love with London. All of its possibility, all the groves and niches of different languages spoken, different cultures, different ethnicities. I miss London every day and every second. Now, as for my parents and their views on my study abroad experience, they returned to London for the third time to visit me while I was abroad. I showed them my London. They loved it nearly as much as I did. And it's funny too, when I got home from London, my dad sat me down to watch an old home movie he found. It was New Year's Eve, and my father was interviewing our family members about resolutions, which he does every year. He asked me what I was excited for in school, how many goals I wanted to score in soccer that year, and if there were any new places I wanted to travel to. I told him I wanted to go to London. He was puzzled. We had already been to Greece, Amsterdam, and Germany. I think I was about 6, and he asked me why, and I said, because it seems like the coolest city on earth. And I would argue that my brilliant 6-year-old self knew what she was talking about. To me, London is and will remain the coolest city on earth, and not just an extension of the US. Thank you.